Hello, welcome to The Conversation, a News Central Television. I am Gbenga Aborowa. This is the program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. Very warm welcome to you all. Now, on the program today, we'll start with the attempt by President Emmanuel Macron to renew ties with Algeria. The French colonial rule in Algeria ended in 1962, and this has prevented both countries from looking to the future, while in Nigeria, the crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party may not abate soon, as the aftermath of the party's primaries held in May still lingers. In recent times, the aggrieved aspirant and governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, recently met with the presidential candidate of the opposing parties, including the ruling party. But first, we begin in Algeria, where French President Emmanuel Macron said France and Algeria should move beyond their painful shared history and look to the future as it began a 3-day visit to the former colony. The trauma of French colonial rule in Algeria and the bitter independence war that ended it in 1962 has haunted relations between the two countries for decades and played into a diplomatic dispute that erupted last year. Standing alongside the French President Emmanuel Macron, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune said, "We hope the visit will open new perspectives for partnership and cooperation with France. Ties with Algeria have become more important for France because the war in Ukraine has increased demand in Europe for North African gas and because of surging migration across the Mediterranean." Now, joining me live this evening to discuss all of this and more, I have Chitour, a freelance journalist based in the Algerian capital, Algiers. And I also have Sami AISSAOUI, a digital media analyst, also based in Algiers, Algeria. A warm welcome to you both, gentlemen, and thanks for joining me on the conversation. Okay, well, our engineers will work on that. So, I'm sorry about that, Said. So I'll just start with Sami. Now, Sami, the Elysee, in a statement, said the direction of the visit is towards the future with a focus on startup innovation and the youth. I'm not trying to sound cynical here, but is this really about that, or the hold that France is in because of the Russian sanctions? And we do know that Algeria supplies 10% of gas needs to France, and is trying to win itself off dependency on Russian gas. What is in this visit for France?
Yeah, the thing is, what is in this visit for France is trying to work on the ties with Algeria. What's happening in the past few months with the diplomatic problems with Algeria and France? France is trying to get herself with Algeria and working together for a better future for France, not exclusively for Algeria. With that, Ukrainian-Russian war, so France will not have the energy and will not have that amount of energy, gas, petroleum, and everything. So that's the only true solution for France to work on her own and to get some exclusive energies products from Algeria. So when working, so this things about startups or businesses and anything, this is due to a win-win situation between the two countries. Exclusively, everyone knows and every African knows that France is the country that will work only for his own and for his better, not for Africans countries.
Now, Sami, this is Emmanuel Macron's second visit to Algeria since he first became president 5 years ago. What's the mood like in Algiers and other parts of Algeria today? How has the trip been seen by local people in the country?
Well, the trip, as seen as always, the Algerian people hate the French government, and anyone in Algeria knows and wants that the French government and French government need to admit it's cruel and criminalities for Algerian people and for Algerian independence war. So that's the all Algerian roads and streets said and want exactly.
For the Algerians, this visit, for the Algerians, they wish it's a real step from President Macron to open the archives of the war for independence and the struggle of the Algerians after 7 years of bloody war from 54 to 1962. And of course, this is the new will of the President Macron that they will establish with the President Tebboune a new commissions in order to dig into the history, the heavy history, because there's a lot of files.
Sorry to interrupt you.
The files of the nuclear bomb.
Sorry to interrupt you. We'll get to that in the course of our conversation, mending ties with France and historical wrongs that have happened. But my question to you is this, Said. President Emmanuel Macron is visiting with a 90-person delegation that includes business leaders and 7 ministers. The visit is also coming at the back of Algeria's 60th independence anniversary, which is celebrated in July. What do you make of this current visit, and how is it different from the first time he visited under his presidency in 2017?
This time he's going to visit the second largest city of Algeria, which is the city of Oran. And this is a really heavy delegation. We've never seen such a heavy delegation with him in the airplane coming and visiting Algiers and the second largest city of Algeria, which is Oran. So he's going to meet a lot of people around there. I mean, he's going to open the different files, not only a new technology, digital, cinema, promoting culture, sports. He's going to meet sportsmen. And of course, maybe it's a new era. We hope, as Algerians, that this is a real, and this is going to be a serious business dealing with a new situation, with the current situation worldwide.
Okay, thank you, Said. And it does appear it's like the president means business, because he's traveling with 7 ministers and a 90-person delegation. Now, let me move to Sami. Sami, ties between Paris and Algiers have been particularly stormy since last year, when President Macron questioned Algeria's existence as a nation before the French occupation and accused the government of fomenting hate towards France. He actually said that Algerians have a way of blaming all their woes on France's colonial past in the country. There was also the issue of the reduction in number of visas available to Algerians. Sami, has President Macron apologized for this? Because it did have widespread implications. I remember that Algeria withdrew its ambassador in France and also decided to block its airspace from French aircrafts. What's the situation like now? Has President Emmanuel Macron apologized for his past comments, and has the visa road been sorted?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that question. To be honest with you, some governments, they seen everything and those ties and those apologies being seen like with all the same as they are with the governments at president to president. So apologizing directly to the people of Algeria, those things based on what Algerian government is doing, it will be not seen as a good thing by myself as I seen it. So it is like a call and a talk between two head of states to see what's the delegations and what's the excuse is and apologizing. And the apologize is made. So this is the thing. And for me, as a person, as a Algerian, as an Algerian citizen, I see the only apologize accepted is when Mr. Chitour said that France should deliver the archives of the Algerian revolution and all about Algerian citizens and that revolution. As we know, that Algerian revolution liberation made a huge impact in Africa, and all African countries, as I say, and I know that all African countries realize that Algerian war of independence is a great war, and somehow the Algerian revolution and the Algerian liberation inspired some Africans. And what Nelson Mandela said, the great Nelson Mandela said, Algeria is my country, and that's what bring us together and what's bring Africans together is Algeria is the country of every African here and every African citizen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sami. Now, Said, Sami feels President Emmanuel Macron needs to apologize to the Algerian people and not just President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, and he feels that French efforts so far have been cosmetic. It doesn't really go deep. He wants the archives to be open. We'll get to that in the course of our conversation. But right now, in this press conference yesterday with his Algerian counterpart, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, French President Emmanuel Macron indicated that France and Algeria should move beyond their painful shared history. I know you're not inside President Macron's head, but wasn't it one side that was suffering and that was the Algerian side? Is it possible to ever move beyond the historical past of France's colonial past in Algeria? Because when he says things like, you know, shared pain, France was the one inflicting pain on Algeria, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's me who's talking.
Who till now, there is, of course, a minority, it's not a majority, but they're still doing a lot of pressure in order to not recognize, you know, Algerian history and Algerian, you know, independence. And this is a quite complicated issue. So Macron, maybe he's doing his best in order to move forward, and it's not easy. Trust me, it's not. It's a file is very heavy. It was quite a long war and a lot of victims involved from the Algerian side, even from the French side. And of course, the Algerians, for them, it's important that the French colonial should recognize what's happened here in the past. I mean, human rights abuses from 1954 to 62. Of course, and also all the historical past, I mean, colonial past since almost 130 years. It's not, I mean, just a few years. And therefore, the Algerians, they want to move forward. They want to open a new era, of course, and to work on the serious, because France remains northern neighbor, and there is a lot we can gain from both sides. I mean, economically, I mean, in different sectors, Algerians are looking forward to develop their, you know, their country and to develop new relationship, not only with France, but of course with Europe and the rest of the world.
So what significant steps needs to be taken so that you could begin to see that there are moves from both sides towards reconciliation and, you know, forgetting this painful past? What needs to be done, Said?
A lot needs to be done. Of course, first is to open the archives and check if there is a possibility that France will, of course, recognize the mistakes being done in the past, and of course, trying to find a solution and compensation. Of course, there is a lot of people suffering in the south of Algeria, people from Regan, from Ineker with these atomic bombs, and the animals are suffering, human beings are suffering, and therefore the Algerians want this recognition of that file. And of course, other files in terms of history between Algeria and France. And even if Macron wants to do it, or we wish that he can move forward, but it's not easy. I mean, it will be a long road.
Definitely, it's going to be a long road, and there are also political implications in France if Emmanuel Macron goes really far. So it's an intricate balancing act he has to perform there. Now, Sami, the talks of, Said just mentioned talks of compensation, and there's a school of thought that believes that, you know, these things happened a very long time ago, that we have present day realities. Why don't we just skim past it? You know, the French have acknowledged that they did some wrong, and I believe it was during President Macron's last visit in 2017, he did say that the crimes of France in Algeria does constitute crimes against humanity. So it shows a step towards reconciliation. Do you believe that? Do you agree with that school of thought that says, you know what, let's move on, let's do business, let's talk about the present and move towards the future and forget about this past? What do you make of all of this and the calls for some type of repatriation and compensation from the French?
Well, that I seen it is for Africans. I seen it as a good step. it's a good point for Africans, because what Emmanuel Macron is doing and saying about Algeria, that will reflect all the African countries, because France colonized it nearly 14 African countries. When President Macron says these things and saying no, we should go forward together, means there is political issues in his country.
Yes.
Means he's working to get the ties and bonds and to get his country back on his feet, because there is a lot of problems in his country, and even there is, how to say, a diaspora in Algerian African diaspora, not only Algerian diaspora in France, and those diaspora they are apart from the African French citizens. So these things, what Emmanuel Macron doing is doing a somehow reconciliation with the diaspora based in France. Somehow, maybe we can say that Emmanuel Macron's strategy will remain as a France power. If it will not remain for France power, I will assure you that France will not be longer how to interfere in African countries' political affairs, or even diplomatic affairs, or inside or internal or foreign affairs in African countries. And that's what has been with Mali, and even for us in Algeria, that we shut off all flights, flight lane and airways for our France military. And we hope that African countries will work also with ties together to do that for everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Sami. Let me bring in a side here. Now, let's talk about the economy of Algeria. Algeria is an oil and gas giant, and this is a time of high gas prices. Europe is courting Algeria so as to guarantee its energy security and also win itself off dependency on Russian gas, especially in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine war. We do know that winter is coming. Now, Said, how can the Algerian state take advantage of this, this high gas prices to help develop its energy sector and capacity? Because Algeria is not producing as much gas as it has its potentials to. And also, in what ways can Algeria use this opportunity of this visit to diversify its economy so that it can be beneficial for the people of Algeria? How can it take advantage of this and, move beyond a monoproduct economy and also develop the country?
Yes, it's the time now for Algeria to diversify. Of course, it's the main production. I mean, oil and gas in Algeria represent more than 98% of the national income. So is it good? Is it bad? Of course, we call it the Dutch disease economically. The economists are talking about it. So Algeria needs to, this is opportunity for Algeria, of course, to diversify, an opportunity to sell more gas to Europe through the pipe to Italy, and France can get more. Of course, now France, Macron is talking about 8%. Is it enough for the French? No, I don't think. It's not enough even for all the rest of the guests of Algeria, or the clients of Algeria. And Algeria can develop other sectors who are very big, which is the agriculture, tourism, small and medium-sized enterprises. And Algeria has a huge potential. I mean, the country is a giant in Africa, is the biggest country in Africa. And I can tell you there is a lot to do. And population is very young. And among the young people here, they are very smart and they are well educated and they have degrees from universities. And we have, technical labor, and Algeria have these possibilities to develop and to move forward. But unfortunately, is the lack of management and the problem of how to diversify, how to move forward, how to develop really the country and give opportunities and sell more other products than oil and gas.
Now, talking about developing the country, Algeria in its recent past had a long-term leader in the person of Abdelaziz Bouteflika. whose government was changed a few years ago. I know it's a short time, but with the administration of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, Said, do you see Algeria moving towards progress? Is there much of a difference and in policies and the direction in which the country is moving?
It's very difficult. It's the problem. The big problem in Algeria is facing bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy is quite heavy. And to how to digitalize the administration, it's all about that, and how to make it faster, how to get services faster, and how to link other wilayas, provinces, Algeria, which, as you know, Algeria, the distance from Algiers to the border with Mali or Niger is the same distance from Algiers to London. And it shows you how the country is big and needs to be quickly developed. I mean, more airports, more ports, more transportation, more opportunities, more more jobs for the young people, because the young generation are seeking for jobs and looking for really opportunity to do some things. I mean, it's not easy for them. I mean, they get graduated from university and in the end they couldn't find a job. It's, and they are desperate.
Thank you, Sami. Thank you, Said. I would like to bring in Sami here. Sami, you had the last say on this conversation. I mean, it's an unprecedented trip. 6 ministers, 60-man delegation, 7 ministers, I beg your pardon. And but my question is, in what ways can this trip, what are your expectations from this trip, this 3-day state visit by President Emmanuel Macron to Algeria? What are your expectations from this trip, and in what ways will it be mutually beneficial to both countries?
For me, it's like this mutual beneficial. It will be like something to get some technology from France, to get their knowledge, to get anything that is related that France is excelling with. And France's approach to Algeria, the approach is basically for the energy. As we know that Algeria is the gate of Africa and one of the biggest countries about energy here in Africa. So because of the Russian-Ukrainian revolution war, France seen herself as it's not like that power without energy. Even that uranium and nuclear power that France have, it will not remain for last. So they need like some energy and some power to get their things, get things done with their people and with their internal affairs. So this visit will be, I hope, after the change in the government, often with Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune is leading the country, I can say there is like a new way, a new strategy for Algeria, and this strategy will remain the best till now. After we will see that the better, and it will help us and help Algerian citizens to get along and to excel, and for African countries will excel also with Algerian new strategy.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say a big thank you to our guests, Said Chitour and Sami AISSAOUI. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the conversation today. I do appreciate your insights and contribution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching The Conversation in News Central Television. We just concluded our conversation on the state visit, 3-day state visit by French President Emmanuel Macron to Algeria. In part 2, we will be discussing opposition politics in Nigeria as we get towards the 2023 general elections. Governor of Southern State Nigeria, Nyesom Wike, has met with other presidential candidates on permutations towards 2023. We'll look into all of this in details when we return. Do stay with us.